Weather Watch on high alert as Hurricane Dorian strengthened into a powerful Category 5 storm as it hit the Bahamas Sunday morning with maximum sustained winds of 185 miles per hour. More than 20 million Americans could feel the storm's impact within just a few days. Our Chris Stewart is in Florida and reports.
Here in Cocoa Beach, they are very aware of what a storm like Dorian can do. And while they're hopeful that this part of Florida will be spared in the coming days, with so much uncertainty about where this storm is going, what is certain is just how different a feel it is here than your typical Labor Day weekend.
Oh, Umbrella City, just an absolute zoo. That's why we don't come here on Labor Day.
There isn't much for Tom and Melissa Burns to do until Dorian, but sit and wait.
You just get prepared and hope for the best, and it's like a drop on a roller coaster. You know it's coming and just go with it.
They pretty much had the water to themselves today. Much of this beach town is boarded up. Many of those who haven't left are making sure the rest is ready.
We're going to expect some damage, but if we can try to mitigate or control some of the damage.
Cindy Gentili is helping board up a friend's house just blocks from the beach.
This is a sitting duck. You know, it's a bullseye right here.
She'll be here for the storm.
You know, obviously preparing for the worst, hoping for the best.
The kind of preparation Floridians like Sharon Smith.
This is Coco. She's definitely, she's all in too.
And her dog Coco have done before.
Our house is fully hurricane proofed, and it did about 120 a couple years ago.
Speaking of houses, Tom and Melissa closed on theirs here just 3 days ago.
You know, buying a house is stressful enough, but then once we got done with that, they forecasted it, and it was like, okay, so now a whole new chapter of stress.
They too have played the hurricane waiting game before.
Just hunker down and, you know, enjoy our new house and hope it's still there after the storm.
And at this point, with boards and shutters up and much of this area shut down, that's all they can do until Dorian has passed.
Turning now to weather with Bob McGuire. That's so scary. The hurricane has already hit the Bahamas.
Yep, made 2 landfalls there.
Incredible.
185 mile per hour winds, as you said, and that is tied for the highest wind ever to hit the Bahamas. Hurricane Allen was the first time it did that. But let me show you what's happening out there right now. You can see the storm is now 134 miles away from the Florida coast. It continues to barrel right at it. But now here's what the computer models are saying this thing will do. Obviously, you see it's a Category 5. That's the highest they go. And this thing is expected to push right in towards Florida, but it kind of turns right there at the end. So maybe right around Tuesday morning, 155 mile per hour winds. It's a Category 4. Then it travels right up the coast as a Category 4 by Jacksonville. It's a Category 3, 120 mile per hour winds. Charleston, South Carolina, maybe 105 miles per hour. Cape Hatteras, maybe 90 miles per hour, and a Category 1 hurricane. So that's what it looks like, and it's still going to be a massive storm. It's going to create a lot of flooding across the Florida coast and even much of the southeast coast. We'll have your forecast coming up in a few more minutes.
All right, thank you, Bob. On to Montana roadways. One person is dead and another injured from a 2-car collision near Lame Deer. According to Montana Highway Patrol Trooper Richard Drake, the crash happened at 5:30 Sunday morning on U.S. Highway 212 near mile marker 46. Now, Drake says a Chevy Suburban was traveling west on a downhill grade when it crossed over into the eastbound lane. A Chevy pickup truck traveling east attempted to pull over. The 2 vehicles collided. The female driver of the pickup was pronounced dead on scene. The male driver of the Suburban was transported to Indian Health Services in Lame Deer before being sent to St. Vincent Hospital here in Billings. Names and ages of both drivers are unavailable at this time, and it's unclear if alcohol or speed were factors. This is an ongoing investigation. Well, the Montana Department of Transportation says there is an increase in fatal crashes this year. At least 122 people have died on Montana roadways this year. Labor Day weekend is the end of the 100 deadliest days on Montana roads. Impaired driving, lack of seatbelts, and vehicles leaving the roads are the top factors. Over the past 10 years, a total of 43 people have died over Labor Day, and half of those crashes involved impaired drivers. MDT is still working to reach 0 deaths and 0 serious injuries on Montana roadways. They remind people to plan a sober ride, stay vigilant, and wear your seatbelt. Here in Montana, the Mountain View fire near Molt has stayed at about 2,800 acres for the last several days. The fire now about 70% contained, and fire management says it likely will not spread. Q2's David J. has more from a tour that the media was given with the DNRC's County Assist team.
Over the last 30 years, this is the closest. My family had already took a lot of personal belongings out of here, and then I was the last to leave after they left.
Adam Olivas and his family evacuated their home on Buffalo Trail Road after wind shifted on Wednesday.
Concerned, yeah, of course. But when I saw the fire trucks here and all the fire hoses right here behind the house, between the fire and the house, I just felt like they would get it. They would save it, and they did.
On Sunday, crews repaired the fire lines that helped protect homes.
To both create the line and to repair them, we're using bulldozers to do it with. Fire control lines are the primary method of establishing a perimeter on the fire.
They say it was quite a challenge for the firefighters in those steep areas and the coulees with all the brush and the rough terrain.
A lot of rims and a lot of steep canyons. There's a lot of steep drainages that are full of rocks. They're steep, and it's just really hard to put fire line in because you can't get through on foot. You can't use machinery to get up through there.
The terrain also affects how the crews repair the fire lines.
You know, in that steep stuff or any of that stuff across the hillside there, you know, we'll just let that run its course in nature.
And the firefighters kept the fire away from the homes.
Most of these homes were fairly easy to defend, but you know, every home probably needs a little bit of work done on it.
I had it made last year and then put it up after all the firemen left. I kind of felt bad about that. So this year I made sure I got up before they're all leaving, you know, so they'll know how much we appreciate it.
Near Molt, David J., MTN News.
Thank you, David. And he says the DNRC expects to have the fire 100% contained by Monday. Well, stay with us. More to come on the 5:30 news. After the break, meet 3 longtime friends who are bringing joy to children this summer who live in constant pain. Later in sports, postmortem for the Cats and Grizz road openers and what they mean for the rest of the season.
You're watching MTN News with Zoe Zandora, Storm Tracker weather with Rob Griggs, and sports with Casey Conlon. This is the 5:30 news on Q2, Montana's news leader.